Great morning to you. Day 45 of Finding Calm in the Storm. It's a new month and a new day, and some things are changing. And what I was just thinking about, some tools that we could use and some things to think about that would give us some perspective moving forward, as it appears that we are going to be able to now be taking steps to move out of this coronavirus pandemic back toward whatever a normal life is going to look like. And so what I want to do is work on something called EQ. It's called our emotional quotient, or some people call it emotional intelligence. Our ability to adapt and deal with things in a changing environment. And so, before we talk about that, I got to do my baseball fix. I almost forgot, right? So what is my baseball fix? Number 45. Today's the 45th day of doing my Calm in the Storm videos for everyone. And so day 45, we're going to go with Pedro Martinez. So I know my St. Louis Cardinal fans are upset that I didn't pick Bob Gibson, but I personally really enjoyed watching Pedro Martinez. One of my favorites. And you notice when these high numbers, there's lots of pitchers, right? It's just the way it works. So, he some crazy stats on him, right? He had a couple years that were like lights out. So that's Pedro Martinez. So getting back to our topic for today, I titled this confirmation bias and using the AAA bond. So what is confirmation bias, and why am I talking about it today? As we start to see us go through the unveiling of different social distancing rules and changes, and as we start to integrate back into society in a new way, we all have something called confirmation bias. And confirmation bias simply states this, that we all, based on our initial beliefs, will look for things to confirm what we believe. And this is very evident in our politics, right? If someone is on the Democratic side and very strong in that belief, or someone is on the Republican side and they're very strong in that belief, when they see something, they have a confirmation bias. So what it does is our brain looks for the things that confirm what we already believe. Our brain, it has a tendency to do that. We do this with a lot of things, right? We do this with people. If we have an initial first impression of somebody who's negative, we will tend to gravitate towards seeing other things that person does that confirms that to us. If we have an initial interaction with a human being and it's very positive, we will tend to see the things that confirm their positive behavior, right? So, what's a practical example of this? Let's say you have somebody in your life that you have a very positive first impression of, right? And they show up late for a meeting, right? You might say, something really important must have happened, and you show that person some grace or some understanding because you have a confirmation bias, very positive of this person. However, if you have more of a negative opinion of somebody and you have a meeting with them and they show up late, you will tend to say, see, I knew this person was selfish and they just cared about their own time and themselves. They can't manage their life. Look, they can't even get here on time, right? So because of our initial impression of something, we then have this confirmation bias. Our brain will look for things that confirms what we already believe. Why am I talking about this today? As we unveil these procedures and policies and we integrate back into life, we all are going to have some form of confirmation bias, right? Depending on how you view this situation, it's going to confirm to you that what you already thought is right, or confirm to you what you already thought is wrong. And my point in that is, what does this have to do with finding calm in the storm? Is that we can tend to then be at odds with people and feel like if we don't have the same beliefs or if we don't agree on that, then we are at odds, and therefore we don't get along and we don't like each other, and it creates this negative tension that can be created at your occupation, at your social events, based on people's opinion of that. So in finding calm in the storm, what we develop the ability to do is to have a differing opinion of a situation or a person. Understand that we all experience some form of confirmation bias, that we tend to look for the things that confirm what we already thought, and we tend to avoid acknowledging the things, or don't look at, don't read, don't pay attention to the things that don't confirm what we already thought. And that because of that, it reduces our ability to objectively look at a situation. And as we start to integrate back together, what we want to do is have the ability to have a differing opinion from that person, but not make it personal, right? And understand that they are coming from a different place and they may have some confirmation bias themselves, right? So what is the AAA bond? So the AAA bond is a way to give your brain time to respond to someone that has a different opinion to you. So we may have people say things to us that emotionally charge us. Is that possible? Is it possible that somebody could say something to you through this environment that would emotionally charge us? So what can we do to manage that? We call that the AAA bond. And the AAA bond is acknowledge what they said. Ask them a question of clarification and then answer. And the rationale for using that is to give our frontal lobe, our executive brain, a chance to catch up to our emotional brain. So someone says something to us and it emotionally charges us, right? And so then we can sometimes react and punch back because that offends us. And so how do we give ourselves a chance in that situation to sort of take a breath, all right, process what they said, allow our executive brain, our frontal lobe, the part up here, right, that makes us human, allow it time to get some blood flow back and engage, and then be able to stay calm and realize that maybe we just come from a different place on this, and to move forward, right? So that's what the AAA bond does, right? So you acknowledge what you heard them say, right? So, a lot of times it's just repeating that back, right? Acknowledging that you heard what they said. Then ask a question of clarification. Is this what you mean? Is this what you're saying? So that you can understand. Maybe it was just an issue of they didn't communicate it in a way that made sense to you. So you acknowledge that you heard them. You ask a question to get clarification. This is buying your brain time, right, to catch up to the situation. And then you can answer that question in a way that allows you to remain calm, even if you have a differing opinion, and to navigate through that situation without making it personal, and to keep yourself calm in the storm. because there could be another storm, and that storm is when we all come back out of this and we all get back together again, that could create some rumbling and a little bit more of a storm in some areas because of people's confirmation bias, right? Going into that. So, what we want to do is allow ourselves to be objective, realize that we all have this confirmation bias. So acknowledge that, right? Ask yourself some questions of clarification. What does the data say? What do the numbers say? What is happening, right? And then answer yourself with some logical answers of what is going on. And people are going to come out of this affected in different ways. Some people may have actually lost a loved one or a family member or a friend because of this situation, and it's going to affect them intellectually and emotionally and create a certain confirmation bias. And some people are going to come out of this and say, look, I've never even seen someone, talked to someone, I don't even know anyone that's ever even had this. And they're going to create a confirmation bias from that. And so you have these two worlds coming together. And we can use something called the AAA bond to allow us to have a healthy dialogue through that. Acknowledge, ask, then answer. So hopefully this is a good tool for you to help you find calm in the storm. And as we start the process of reintegration and finding whatever the new normal will be, I hope this is a tool that you can use to find calm in that storm. Have a great day.